Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. It's me, Corey, and I'm going to be doing a test video today. I'm going to experiment with a new format. This is a more challenging format than digestible news. The vocabulary will be advanced, the sentences will be more complex, and the ideas will be a little bit more detailed. It'll be around B2 to C1 level of English, and I got a comment or two asking if there would be a higher, more advanced level of this kind of news uploaded, and I decided to take this morning to rewrite 2 news articles in a more advanced fashion and include some expressions, idioms, and some vocabulary that we can study. This is how it would work. First, I'm going to read through both stories cleanly without stopping. This will be used for shadowing, or you can use it just for comprehension to read it on your own and see how much you understand. And then I'm going to read the 2 stories again and explain the vocabulary and expressions as we go. This will give you exposure to natural English first and then support your understanding later. I'll be reading this at a faster speed around what I'm doing right now, and I'll be talking with a more conversational tone in anything that I add extra. This is how we'll proceed with this style of video, and it'll be a little bit more challenging. There'll be 2 stories, and if you guys like this kind of content, let me know with comments, likes, subscribes, everything, because I need to see if it's useful for the people watching this channel. If it's not, then I won't spend the time making it. But if it is, of course, I want to help you. I'm your personal English teacher here on YouTube, and I want to help you guys as much as possible. So let's begin with this new test format with our first blank story. All right, this one is about Korean golfers dominating at major championships. Haerin Ryu's trajectory this month has been remarkable. Until 3 weeks ago, she had never won a major championship. Now she has claimed 2 consecutive titles in a span of just 3 weeks. This week, she prevailed in a playoff against Canadian golfer Brooke Henderson to capture the Almond-Dievien Championship in France. The tournament presented a compelling narrative. On Saturday, Ryu shot a 60, which represents the lowest 18-hole score ever recorded in major championship history. This extraordinary performance established a commanding lead. She had a 7-shot advantage over Henderson heading into Sunday's final round, and victory appeared inevitable. However, Sunday's play transformed the narrative entirely. Henderson mounted an aggressive comeback that defied the odds. She carded 3 eagles, including an ace on the par 3 8th hole and another eagle on the 18th. Ryu's lead, which had seemed insurmountable, began to evaporate as Henderson closed the gap relentlessly. Struggling with her putter throughout the day, Ryu failed to make a birdie until the final hole, where she holed a crucial putt to force a playoff. In the playoff, she prevailed once more, birdieing the first extra hole while Henderson could only manage a par. This victory represents Ryu's second major victory in 3 weeks. She previously won the KPMG and Women's PGA Championship at Hazleton. Her back-to-back wins demonstrate the mental resilience required to compete at the highest level. She joins Nelly Korda as the only player to claim 2 majors in a single season. Tom Kim also achieved success this week, winning the Genesis Scottish Open in Scotland. His triumph ended a 33-month drought without a tournament victory, showcasing his own capacity to overcome adversity and persist through difficult periods. All right, now on to our second story. England advances to the World Cup semifinals after a dramatic encounter with Norway. I'm sure you've heard this story, but let's recount it together. England advanced to the World Cup semifinals on Saturday after defeating Norway 2-1 in a quarterfinal match that required extra time. The victory hinged on 2 goals from Jude Bellingham, whose decisive strikes proved crucial in securing England's progression. Norway opened the match with an early breakthrough. Andreas Schjelderup capitalized on a defensive lapse and put Norway ahead 1-0 in the 36th minute. The goal was unexpected, as England had entered as the favored team. However, Bellingham responded swiftly, equalizing just before halftime to restore parity and inject momentum into England's campaign. The match remained deadlocked through regulation time. Neither side could break the deadlock, forcing the match to extra time. In the 3rd minute of the additional period, Bellingham bounced on a rebound after Norway's goalkeeper committed a critical error. His second goal provided England with a decisive advantage and they maintained their composure to secure the victory. Bellingham's performance was noteworthy. His 2 goals elevated his tournament tally to 6, matching teammate Harry Kane. Only Messi and Mbappe have surpassed this goal tally in this tournament. His precocious talent and maturity under pressure have distinguished him throughout this competition. Norway's campaign, despite the defeat, showcased their resilience against a superior opponent. They entered this World Cup after an extended absence from the tournament, competing in their first World Cup since 1994. Erling Haaland, Norway's star forward, remained goalless in the particular match, unable to find the breakthrough his team required. The denouement arrived when Bellingham's extra-time strike sent England through the semifinals, where they will face either Switzerland or Argentina. Now, let me read those same stories again. But this time, we're going to explain key vocabulary and expressions as we go. This will help you understand the advanced language a little bit better, breaking it down, all right? If you're finding this content valuable so far, please like and subscribe it so I can see that this is worth that there's an audience for it, that you guys are wanting this. Your support helps me create this more challenging material. Comment what you like and what you don't, as well as your thoughts on these individual stories. All right, let's go through the stories with explanation. Number 1, Korean golfers dominating. Okay, Hayden used trajectory. Trajectory is a noun. It means the path or pattern something is following. This month has been remarkable. Until 3 years ago, she had never won a major championship. Now she has claimed 2 consecutive titles in a span of just 3 weeks, span being some amount of time. This week, she prevailed, which is a verb. It means to win or succeed, especially against some opposition when you're on a losing streak. In a playoff against Canadian golfer Brooke Henderson to capture the Amundi Evian Championship in France. The tournament presented a compelling narrative, very engaging, you focus on it easily. On Saturday, Liu shot a 60, which represents the lowest 18-hole score ever recorded in major championship history. This extraordinary performance established a commanding lead. It means she took over command of the whole game. She was the leader. She took the reins, so to speak. She held a 7-shot advantage over Henderson heading into Sunday's final round, and victory appeared inevitable. It appeared as if there was no way for her to lose. However, Sunday's play transformed the narrative entirely. It changed the story. Henderson mounted an aggressive comeback. She started an aggressive comeback, mounted, and that defied the odds. Defied the odds is an expression that means succeeded despite the likelihood for failure. There's a low chance of success, but still succeeding. She carded 3 eagles, including an ace on the par 3 8th hole, and another eagle on the 18th. Liu's lead, which had seemed insurmountable is an adjective meaning too difficult to overcome or surpass. You cannot mount it. You cannot get to the top of the mountain. So it's insurmountable. Began to evaporate. Evaporate being a verb which means to disappear or vanish suddenly. For example, water evaporates in order to become clouds, or my lead evaporates, or my bank account is evaporating, something like this. As Henderson closed the gap relentlessly. Struggling with her putter throughout the day, Liu failed to make a birdie until the final hole, where she holed a crucial putt to force a playoff. Crucial, very important, very necessary. In the playoff, she prevailed once more, birdieing the first extra hole while Henderson could only manage a par. This victory represents Liu's second major victory in 3 weeks. She previously won the KPMG Women's PGA Championship at Hazleton. Her back-to-back wins, or back-to-back anything, is consecutive. It means consecutive. So back-to-back work days, back-to-back schedule, back-to-back homework, like that kind of thing. Demonstrate the mental resilience being noun, the ability to recover from difficulty or adversity, to outlast, to deal with something for a long period of time. required to compete at the highest level. She joins Nelly Korda as the only players to claim 2 majors in a single season. Tom Kim also achieved success this week, winning the Genesis Scottish Open in Scotland. His triumph ended a 33-month drought, a drought being a period of time with no rain, but in this case is a period of time with no scoring or no major victories, without a tournament victory, showcasing his own capacity to overcome adversity. To overcome adversity is a kind of phrase meaning to successfully deal with difficulty. So if you go through a period of difficulty in your life and you succeed or come out of it, you are overcoming adversity and persist through difficult periods. So let's go through the vocabulary. Trajectory is a noun. It means the path or pattern something follows. For example, Hyunryu's trajectory this month has been remarkable. The path she's on is remarkable. Prevailed is a verb. It's the past tense version. It means to win or succeed, especially against opposition. For example, in the playoff, she prevailed once more. She won again. Despite what was happening, she prevailed. Insurmountable. Think about the word mountain. A mountain is very high. Insur, think about it like to go up onto. Insurmountable is too difficult to overcome or surpass. For example, Ryu's lead seemed insurmountable, but Henderson closed the gap. Beating an Olympic athlete is insurmountable for someone like me. Evaporate is a verb. It means to disappear or vanish suddenly. For example, the lead that had seemed insurmountable began to evaporate. The water began to evaporate, so I could not see it anymore. The points began to evaporate because we were losing points, like this. Resilience is a noun. It's the ability to recover from difficulty or adversity. For example, her back-to-back wins demonstrate the mental resilience required. Do you have resilience in something? I'm quite resilient to cravings, for example. I tend not to have intense cravings. I'm quite resilient when I smell something delicious, for example. Some key expressions. Defying the odds is to succeed despite the likelihood of failure. For example, Henderson's comeback defied the odds. She defied the odds by coming back. She defied the odds and won the game. She defied the odds and made it into SNU, for something like that. Back-to-back wins is consecutive victories with no losses between them. Back-to-back schedule is a common thing, meaning you have one schedule after another. This can be more than 2. It can be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have back-to-back schedules all week. Overcome adversity is to successfully deal with difficulty or some hardship, as we explained. His capacity to overcome adversity and persist through difficult periods was evident, was obvious. So, there you go. How did you do on the first story? Again, if you're liking this kind of content, please let me know. I don't mind making it, but I want there to be people that actually want to use it as study material. All right, our second advanced story will be about England again. England advanced. In this case, it's not meaning high level. It means to move forward. It's a verb meaning to move forward or progress. To the World Cup semifinals on Saturday after defeating Norway 2-1 in a quarterfinal match that required extra time. The victory hinged on 2 goals. Hinge is a part of a door, right? It's the metal part of the door that opens and closes. So it is the central part that moves something. In this case, the victory hinged on 2 goals. So without Jude Bellingham being the hinge, the door wouldn't open. Does that make sense? It's a little complicated, but don't think too deeply about it. It just depends on, relied on are synonyms. 2 goals from Jude Bellingham, whose decisive strikes, this is an adjective, decisive, meaning having a clear or definite effect or result. So these were decisive strikes, proved crucial in securing Scotland's progression. Norway opened the match with an early breakthrough. Breakthrough is an important success or development. We use it in sports to mean that they have a breakthrough in scoring, or we use it in science to mean a scientific breakthrough. Or in therapy or in relationships, having a breakthrough means a sudden understanding between people. Right. Andreas Schjelderup capitalized. Capitalized can mean to make a lowercase letter bigger, of course, but in this case, it's a verb that means to take advantage of an opportunity. So he capitalized on a defensive lapse. Lapse is a noun meaning a temporary failure or a weakness. So he took advantage of the weakness and to put Norway ahead 1-0 in the 36th minute. The goal was unexpected as England had entered as the favored team. However, Bellingham responded swiftly, equalizing just before halftime, meaning the points became equal. To equalize means to make the same. Before halftime to restore parity and inject momentum into England's campaign. To restore parity would be to make something a pair, because a pair is two things that are the same. And to restore parity would be to restore it to its equal state. The match remained deadlocked. Deadlocked is an adjective meaning stuck or unable to make progress through regulation time. Regulation time is the normal game, of course. Neither side could break the deadlock. Breaking the deadlock is an expression meaning to end a stalemate or to make progress from a stuck situation. This is not just sports. Deadlocks can be between companies, between people, between you and your children, for example. And to break the deadlock would be to do some action that makes progress. Forcing the match into extra time. In the 3rd minute of the additional period, Bellingham pounced on a rebound. Pounced on is a term that means to quickly seize or to take advantage or to grab something surprisingly in a very quick way. We commonly use it with cats or tigers. The way they hunt is they pounce on animals, catch them, and then eat them. All right. In this case, he pounced on a rebound. He jumped on it, surprisingly, after Norway's goalkeeper committed a critical error. His second goal provided England with a decisive advantage and maintained their composure. To maintain their composure means to stay calm and controlled. To maintain composure. To secure the victory. Bellingham's performance was noteworthy. His 2 goals elevated his tournament tally to 6, matching teammate Henry Kane. Only Messi and Mbappe have surpassed this goal tally in the tournament. His precocious talent and maturity under pressure have distinguished him throughout the competition. Norway's campaign, despite the defeat, showcased their resilience against a superior opponent. They entered the World Cup after an extended absence from the tournament, competing in their first World Cup since 1994. Erling Haaland, Norway's star forward, remained goalless in his particular match, unable to find the breakthrough his team required. The denouement arrived when Bellingham's extra time strike sent England through the semifinals, where they face either Switzerland or Argentina. As for our vocabulary, we mentioned advanced as a verb. It means to move forward or progress. Some examples. England advanced to the World Cup semifinals. I advanced in my career. The car advanced towards me. Something like that. Breakthrough is a noun. It means an important success or development. For example, Norway opened the match with an easy breakthrough. We made a breakthrough in therapy. Me and my spouse made a breakthrough about our finances, something like that. Capitalize is a verb. It means to take advantage of an opportunity. Schjelderup capitalized on a defensive lapse. I capitalized on the situation at work in order to get my promotion. I capitalized on the lack of a certain product in the market and created it myself. Deadlocked is an adjective meaning stuck or unable to make progress. For example, the match remained deadlocked through regulation time. Me and my wife are in a deadlock about whether to buy an apartment or not. My boss and the competing company are in deadlock on who will take over the production of a certain material, for example. Decisive is an adjective meaning having a clear and definite effect or result. His second goal provided England with a decisive advantage. I had a decisive moment this morning when I decided to change my morning routine. As for the expressions, breaking the deadlock means to end a stalemate or make progress from a stuck situation. In the case of the article, neither side could break the deadlock in regulation time. In therapy, we were able to break the deadlock after we found out I had ADHD or something. Pounced on is a quickly seized or took advantage of something. For example, Bellingham pounced on a rebound after the goalkeeper's error. The cat pounced on the mouse or the laser light. The cat pounced the laser light, trying to grab it. Maintain composure just means to stay calm and controlled under pressure. For example, they maintained their composure to secure the victory. Another example, despite the man yelling at me, I maintained composure and I did not lose my cool. I did not become heated or angry. All right. Thank you for watching this test format. As I mentioned, this content is much more challenging to produce. It requires more advanced vocabulary and complex sentence structures. And I need to test it to see what exactly you guys want to get out of a more advanced experience. If you found this engaging and want to see more content at this level, please let me know. Your feedback really matters a lot. Did you like having the blank stories to listen to followed by explanations? Would you prefer only blank stories or only explained stories? I'm very curious. And thank you for your comment. I forget who gave me the comments exactly right now, but this is a good test, and I hope that you enjoyed this. I made this because of your comments. And so yeah, let me know in the comments, like and subscribe if you do like this kind of content. It really lets me know that you guys want more of it. And I'll be back with digestible news on this Friday. And until then, keep learning English, keep staying informed, but above all, stay curious, all right? Bye for now.